let's start this meeting. All right, welcome everybody. This is the second meeting of the CPP Game Dev Club. I know everybody was enjoying the talk of SNEX and how I am very desensitized. I should be desensitized to violence in SNEX, but we'll move on. All right, so today we're going to talk about game pitches, and a lot about this club is doing game projects, especially in teams, to demonstrate how the whole game dev process works, learning a lot of skills, and also having fun. So the game pitch structure is going to be 5 to 6 teams for this year, and there's always one team lead. Now this team lead will actually be creating what's called a game pitch. So how many people are familiar with what a game pitch is? Can I see in chat? Some people say yes, some people say no. Okay, very cool. Daniel, you don't count anymore because you are bored. Well, okay. So a game pitch is when you go and talk to people about your idea for your game. Like, we've had people ask to build a monster dating sim in the past. We've done RPGs. People have done a lot of different kinds of games. Daniel last year made a VR game, which was really, really cool. It was probably it was a really good game, and I wish I got to play it. And this is where you start asking people, like, who would like to join my team to build this game? And then each team will have programmers, artists, you're gonna have musicians, level designers, and a lot of other people who need to use different kinds of skills. And that's where we're gonna come in, Brad, with helping people with all of this. So the point of these game design teams is everybody's gonna help each other out, and everyone's going to learn a few skills about what it takes to be in a game design team. You're gonna be not only learning a bit of programming, a bit of art, level design, music. There's a lot of stuff you can learn from each other, especially from team leaders. A lot of people will look up to them for how to design their game and where to go in the direction. And then we're gonna use this type of cycle for our development process called Scrum. How many people are familiar with Scrum? Can I see in chat? Nandan, I know you're familiar. Nope. So we got a lot of no's. So Scrum is what we use to, like, sort of check in with people and give the rundown of what's been done, what hasn't been done, and what's our next goal. And I believe we do have, well, we'll have a video soon. But here's how we pitch the game. Anyone can pitch a game. It doesn't matter if you're a first year, it's gonna be your last year. You're not in if you're in CS, if you're in fashion design, anything. It doesn't matter. Everybody has a chance to come up with an idea and pitch it to us. And those who are interested will need to fill out an application, which is coming up in a couple slides, to, like, just submit and talk about your general game description. I can post some examples later on today about, like, certain game design pitches. I'll make sure that everybody can take a look and see, like, what it's like to sort of pitch a game and what the game design pitch will look like. And then the application window will be 2 weeks long. So, all right. So now, these are the basics of game design, and everybody knows, like, how like a game works. So let me just pull up whiteboard. All right, can everybody see the whiteboard?
Can you? I think so. Can you scribble on it just to make sure that we're not seeing a white screen? Okay, yeah, we can see it.
All right, cool. So, 10. Okay. So let's say we're building Mario. what do we actually need for Mario? Can I get some answers? Like, just shout it out in voice, or you can just say it in chat. Jumping?
Solomon said jumping, Goombas, running, smiling. I agree, Nandon. Breakable blocks, power-ups.
Platforms.
Castle. Bowser. Super jump.
Ooh, there's a lot.
Both.
Is there anything I'm missing?
Low
Growing?
skill floor.
I guess size
Moment.
change. Size change is a good one.
Lava level.
I think there's a way to enable like people to just write on there.
Let's see. Can people try writing?
It's like
Obligatory ice
something.
level. If
Doesn't
you're
Zoom have like a?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, people try writing on the screen.
How do I
Let's see
do
what
that?
we're doing anything.
I forgot how to do that. I think it's like it's in options.
Oh, nope, we're not doing that. No, I don't see it.
Oh, you might have to change it to remote control to allow us access.
And party.
I think it would be an annotates option.
It's an
Yeah.
annotate option. So we're talking about game design, Richie. We're talking about like what it takes to build Mario.
How would
But-
we get to annotate option? I mean, the annotate option. Rather.
So there's a lot of things like mushrooms. Like you gotta have mushrooms to change size. Can't spell or can't write Bowser. Bowser's important.
Toads. Did we say Mario at some point? I feel like
We haven't said Mario.
it's just Peach. Gimmicks.
Interesting.
We don't need Mario. It would be
No, he's not
Luigi
important.
based.
You need Luigi.
Waluigi, especially. Very
Mustache. Wario.
Wario.
Peach.
Fish level.
All right, now I'm gonna change it into a different color, and I'm gonna start crossing out stuff.
It happened.
So we don't need Bowser.
Gym blocks and their animations. Spaghetti. I don't know about that one. Personalized cards. What?
Oh, I guess we can add
Sound
blocks.
effects. Must.
Enemies. I'm sorry for the horrendous
Catchy music.
handwriting.
Very
Music?
good.
Right, music. Or sound effects in general.
Sonic roll. JK. Flag at the end.
Are you writing with mouse or are you writing with the tablet?
I'm writing with the mouse.
Oh, at a party. The princess is in another castle, in quotes.
Ah, yes, the pain of that quote. So, all right. I'm actually going to start crossing out stuff that we don't actually need to just see the basic demonstration of Mario. So,
Yes, games.
we don't need sound effects. Let's see. Mushrooms, blocks. We don't need mushrooms. We do need the size changing. Power-ups.
I had Mario Land on my calculator.
We can keep power-ups, but most importantly, we don't need Mario for Mario.
Yeah, maybe
Richard
if
agreed
Luigi-
with that.
So I know a lot of people are wondering, like, how can you have Mario without Mario? So when Nintendo first designed Mario, they actually just had a little block here. And this little block would demonstrate, how you would play the game. You would have a yellow brick, you would have brown bricks, you have different sorts of platforms, and then maybe a special kind of block that would demonstrate as an enemy. And that's all Mario would take. when they were planning all of this way back in the day. And this is where we're going to start teaching you guys like what it takes to build the game. So when you're first building the game, when you're first creating your game designs, you don't need to go all out. Just make sure you think about like what's the bare minimum you need just for the first couple steps. All right, let's reshare my screen. So the basics of game design. You're gonna have to have a player. What is your player gonna do? What is the player's role? You need to think about how your player is gonna interact with everything, and that's called dynamics. And then you have different sorts of objects interacting with other objects, and that's your mechanics. What is the dynamic of the player and, let's say, an enemy? What's the dynamic of a player and maybe picking up a weapon? You have to think that out and think what is the next step when it comes to figuring out what your player must do. And you're also going to have to think about your communication. What is your game trying to tell others? What is the purpose of your game? And how do you tell the player what's the next objective every time they complete a new one? So what's the biggest objective in Mario? What's the most simple objective in Mario?
Don't die.
Get to the
Well,
end
yeah,
of the level.
don't die. Go right. Yeah, go right.
Get to finish line.
The whole game is about saving the princess. That is correct. But just for one level, just for one small level, it is
Just
going
get
to
to
the
the
right,
end.
or in essence, it's just getting to that finish line. You want to jump on that flagpole, hit that little sign. It's a weird bar thing in Super Mario Land? I can't remember. In that one game. So you're gonna have to think about like, what are you telling your player? What is their objective every single level? And then the whole idea about your appeal. What is the appeal behind your game, and what do you want to be conveyed to your player? What are these nice aesthetics? You're gonna have to have like some sweet little sparkles on there, or you're gonna have absolute blood, gore, and hard heavy metal like Doom.
And sick.
So let's go into this YouTube video.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Works for my
how's the
family.
volume?
I can go out there and make money. And
Better.
Louder or lower?
Passed a new law making it illegal.
I think you should pause the music.
You don't have YouTube
I
Premium
paused the
yet?
music.
Amount of app-based services.
So I started my game development journey in a pretty unusual way. I think most people start making games because they have a bunch of ideas for a game that they'd like to make, or ideas on how to
froze.
improve one they're already playing. I mean, it's pretty tempting to sit down with a game and think, I can do this better. However, I was completely opposite. I'd never thought about game design or anything like that. I just liked making stuff and thought game development looked fun. So I jumped right from sandbox games into modeling, coding, and all that good stuff. But as time has passed and I started making my own games, I've realized just how important game design really is. So no matter if you're like me and have been making games for a long time, or if you're just starting out, I think these basic tips on game design are really good to know. But first, this video is sponsored by Dennis Panjuta. Dennis is an awesome game dev tutor who's just launched a new course on Udemy, the Complete C# Masterclass. This course will make you super comfortable writing code in C# and using it for programming your own games in Unity. It will give you knowledge on many different aspects of C# and teach topics such as databases, Lincoln WPF, and much more. At the end of the course, you will even have made 3 games on your own. If this sounds like something you're interested in, simply click the link in the description to get started and get a massive discount. So often when making a game, you start by setting a goal that the player has to achieve. But how to get the player from the beginning of the game and towards that goal, and most importantly how to get the player to enjoy this journey, is where the tricky and also fun part comes into play. Now, when it comes to game design, it's very hard to define rules and guidelines that apply to all games, simply because games are so different. Design choices that work for a MMORPG might not work at all for a competitive FPS. And now comes a very important point. Everything in game design must fit the player's intended experience. First off, every game needs a foundation. And in game design, there are 3 main pillars that hold up this foundation. player, communication, and appeal. Now these might seem obvious, but understanding how to work with them is crucial. Really, you can start by asking yourself, what is the player's role and how does he interact with the game? The player always needs to have a purpose, and it's extremely important that it's the player driving the game forward. After all, this is what distinguishes a game from a movie. If the player does not have a say and effect on the game, he becomes an indifference, simply completing tasks for the sake of it. Now, just as important as giving the player purpose is communicating this purpose to the player. Without any idea of what the goal is and how to achieve it, the player will quickly start to feel powerless and become bored. So try to use the environment or leave visual clues that communicate the objective of a situation. I've talked about this before, but I think one of the most elegant examples of communicating purpose to the player is the beginning of Half-Life 2. Here, the developers do an amazing job of showing a world of oppression and making the player feel part of that world, making him want to change it. Of course, none of this actually matters without appeal, which is why it's the most important pillar in the foundation. If the game doesn't appeal to the player, then what's the point? And for me, this is the hardest thing to consistently achieve, because it's solely based on a feeling of being drawn to the game and of wanting to play more. And I think this can greatly vary depending on the game, and even depending on the individual player. For some, the appeal is action-paced realism, with stunning graphics and heart-throbbing sound design. For others, the appeal lies in an interesting story or a well-thought-out puzzle. And rather than try to make impossible claims as to how to make your game appealing, I think this is a good place to stress just how important it is to start every game with a prototype, to test out your ideas in a simplified format to see if the appeal is there. Of course, if your entire game idea is based around stunning graphics and huge open-world levels, a simple prototype won't help you out much. But if that's what you're going for, you should already have these principles under your skin, along with 200 employees, of course. So with that, you've now established the foundation of your game. But there's of course still a bunch of design choices you have to make. For example, just like it's important to always communicate the player's purpose, it's just as important to always guide to the main focus. In other words, you need to clarify what the player should concentrate on. Of course, not all games lead the player straight from beginning to end.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
For these so-called non-linear games, it's just as important that you leave the player with alternate choices, like going on a little side quest detour from the main storyline. And when it comes to guiding the player through the game, something I've realized is the importance of anticipation. If used correctly, anticipation will help prepare the player for what's coming. This could be as simple as adding a charge-up animation to your enemies, allowing the player to react accordingly and not feel cheated by the game. Take for example the ending scene of Half-Life. Notice how sound builds up, electrical sparks start flying, and the camera starts shaking right before the explosion. And actually, the whole sequence with G-Man talking to Dr. Freeman can be seen as one long build-up, and therefore anticipation to the explosion and end of the game. Another aspect that has the tendency to get overlooked, since some might consider it obvious, is that the events in your game have to behave in a logical way, along with living up to the player's subconscious expectations of the game. A system design example of this could be when shooting something, bullet holes should appear, otherwise it won't live up to the player's expectations. Obtaining the right sounds of the physical events is also very important. The more sound is considered, the better experience for the player. The events occurring in your game should also follow general physics. Of course, some games change the rules of physics, but they do so consistently. And that's pretty much all this comes down to. Rules are rules. So once these rules have been established for a game, stick to them. However, remember that games can cheat as long as the player doesn't notice. A good example of this is the AI in the Arkham games. These AIs are told not to turn around when Batman sneaks behind them, so it allows the player to ambush them. In general, a lot of shooters will alter their AI to give the player some sort of hidden advantage that rewards a certain playstyle. Also, it's generally good not to make them too sophisticated, just in case they feel like turning on the human race.
Oh, great. Okay. Hey, look!
That was
it's
a
about
excellent.
game design!
That ad break was surprisingly well cut.
Now, another important point is that dynamic is lost when only one change occurs at a time. For me, this is what makes competitive games like Counter-Strike interesting to play again and again, even though you're always playing with the same weapons and on the same maps.
Yeah,
For example,
we
in order for the
use
attacking team to
algorithms that
successfully plan the bomb...
those.
Can we say that without getting demonetized? So in order for the attacking team to successfully plant the pineapple, many things need to happen at the same time. One guy might throw a smoke over the wall to cover off defending players, another might start sneaking around to flank, while the rest of the team charges in, each checking different angles in order to make sure everything is clear while the pineapple gets planted. And just as important as having enough happening in your game, it's good to establish a natural sense of progression. This means trying not to overstimulate or understimulate the player. To achieve this, it's important to think about how you lay out different events in your game. One way you can do this is by spreading out the moments of high concentration, vary between action-packed and more laid-back sequences, and keep the number of changes happening according to the current pace of the situation. I think the perfect example of this is the tower defense genre. Here gameplay is spaced out naturally by alternating between waves of enemies and building new towers. And on top of that, many games will vary between large waves of weak enemies and small waves of strong enemies. But spacing is not something that only applies to gameplay. It's equally important when talking about environment. Creating areas for the player to admire the graphics and expansive view, and creating tighter areas to obtain a more claustrophobic feel changes the pace of the game. And this in turn affects gameplay. It's very important that you're aware of how much space you have in-game and on-screen to make sure you have the right amount of space for different scenarios. This is also important if your game has AI or other players, since they should be given the right amount of space so they can move around in a realistic way. In fact, if you want to get really nerdy about how you can shape your environments to help guide your player, check out this amazing paper on structural composition patterns in 3D adventure games. There'll be a link in the description. So if you take all these things into consideration, you should be one step closer to designing your own game. Keep in mind though, everything I've mentioned here is only guidelines, and guidelines are only there to steer our creativity in the right direction. The rest is up to you. On that note, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next.
Okay,
This was
okay,
just
we don't
part
need
of an
that.
experiment. Put some pictures up online. Got
We don't
some.
need that. We don't need Squarespace. Isn't that right, Nan? Dan coded his own website.
Nandin space.
Oh my god.
It's Nanspace.
Oh, I like that better.
Dan's
Space Nan?
site.dev.
Where Nan?
By the way, it works.
Square Dev.
All right. It's time. Okay, I'm not gonna play this video, but you guys can go back and watch this video. So this is now talking about scope. So scope is all about how can you complete this game within a certain amount of time. And then if you're a programmer and you understand like what scope is, let me get whiteboard back up again. Scope or scope, it's thinking about what can you complete within this general time. So let's call this our time limit. And you've got so many of these objectives to get done. In reality, you can maybe get 2 to like 5 done. But we've got so many things to do, right? So maybe you need to just think about what actually needs to get done. You can't have everything finished. So make sure you just think about what are the most important things to get done. A big issue we usually have with a lot of game projects is everybody wants to like go over the scope and try to make a game as big and cool as possible. But we can't have something so big within the first couple of weeks. And I know everybody's a busy student, everybody has their own lives and background. So we can't expect them to just get into the game making and get all these deadlines done. So when you're making your game pitches or you're on your team and you're trying to think of all these different tasks you need to do, don't have too many. Think about what you can get done in this scope of time. It's also the same sense when you're talking about it's also the same sense when you're talking about different tasks. So these are our tasks. What can you get done? What are the skills and all these different mindsets that we have? You can maybe get 1 through 3 done, just because not everybody has the necessary skill sets, and that's okay. You just have to keep that in mind, especially when you're starting to get into the meat of things. When you're halfway done with your game, you have to think about, what can I get done, and where, and can I really get all of this done in this amount of time? So please make sure that you keep that in mind, especially when you're planning your games. Cool with everybody? Can I get a pog in chat?
Pog. PG.
Yes, absolute poggers. Scrin. All right. So let me drop this in chat. Oh. There. No, just let me copy.
No.
Can I copy? There. So there's the application. So if you guys want to become a game lead, or you want to sort of throw any idea out there, you can go ahead and do that. Daniel, is it okay if I can show off your game pitch?
Sure, you could go ahead.
Let me just...
Do you need the link to it, or do you have it?
I think we have it. Yeah, I think we have it. This was spring, right? Or was this fall?
This was fall.
This was fall. You guys will have a lot of time, so you'll be good. All right, let me share. All right, so here is Daniel's game design. Let me just actually open it. Lumen.
Turn it off and back on again.
Okay, just get on with it. All right, let me just do this. All right, so this is Daniel's game design pitch. This was from last year when he made his VR game. So he's talking about what is the whole summary, what's the whole point of the game, and then he starts talking about like how everything gets done. And you don't need to have a theory, but it's good to have like, what are the principles in mind? And then he's talking about the tech. He's talking about what kind of skills what skills are relevant. He also talks about what tasks need to be done and how are we going to complete this? What do we need to be visualized in the game? So that was a really good game design pitch that we've had in this last couple years. And I think it's very well written. So you don't need to be very, I guess, very formal, but just have an idea in mind, like, what is the point of the game? What are the game mechanics and dynamics? What's going to be needed? Like, what kind of skills? Like, hey, do you know these sort of skills, like programming, art, and such? And then what are the things that need to get done?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about that?
I do just want to say, then, like, originally, like, I had a longer list of tasks, but then I was like, well, some of these things are just nice to have. So that's why I broke it off into like these stretch goals. Like, if we have time, this would be cool to do, but I like tried to reduce it down as much as possible because crazy stuff happens.
Yeah. So this is a good example of where Daniel thought about like, what's the scope? Like, it would be nice to have all these things, but he knows it's probably not possible within his time frame. So always keep that in mind. Have your primary, and then nice little add-ons you'd love to have, like a monster dating sim that we had in the past made. It would have been nice. I've heard like the team members talk about how it would have been nice to have like a little bit of animation for every time you make someone's heart sing in the game. but it's not done, and it wasn't done on time, but they got the general idea of the game. So if anybody still needs the application, I'll post it again in chat. And this will also be posted into announcements today, as well as
Also put it on the website.
you'll also put it on the website. And then we have some extra announcements today. So on Friday, it'll be us again, but this time it will be me teaching everybody how to do basic programming in Java. And this is what I started over the summer called Streaming to Learn. And I'll be teaching everybody how to program in Java. I know some of us have been in the workshops before for Java, but we're gonna do a quick review, and then we're gonna jump into Java classes and methods. And then we're also going to be talking about what is Scrum exactly. We're going to get more into detail at next general meeting. Also, if you haven't gone and signed up for the mentorship form will be closing on Thursday. Next Thursday on September 17th. So we had a lot of questions about how the mentorships will work. So you guys will be spending about 5 hours a week with your mentors, whether it's chatting with them online, video calling, Discord calling, messaging, anything. And you're gonna be trying to build up a lot of different skills about what it takes to be a game developer. A lot of these people are actually in, they're actually in the industry right now. We have Brennan, I think a lot of you have met him. And Jonathan, a lot of you guys have played Among Us with Jonathan. And I think Among Us sort of crashed the other day, from what I've heard. And then we have
We didn't even
China.
play a game. It literally didn't work.
I heard it didn't work. So you guys will be not only learning a lot of stuff from them, but you're gonna be bonding with them, and you're gonna have a lot of fun just spending time with them. I know some of us can't really commit so much time for the mentorships, and that's absolutely okay. I'm counting also Discord DMing or texting as a part of the hour. So it's 1 hour, maybe every weekday, you get to spend some time with them and learn a skill or two. Does anybody have any questions about mentorships, by the way? We're assigning mentors right now, and we'll be releasing who are the mentors on September 18th. And then the next following week after that, you can start just talking with your mentor, talk about how the game design will be working and what it takes to just finish a game within our dedicated time. Also, Nandan is a mentor, so if you guys sign up, you guys get to have Nandan. And who doesn't want the Nandan to be their mentor?
Nandan.
Did someone say me?
No, I said Nandan.
Oh, I will take Maddie as my mentee. Let's go. Super Bean.
Super Pog.
Will you take this person as
I will take
as your
Celine
child?
as my mentee.
There's this person here who wants you to. Do you see
Oh.
the
Oh.
chat?
Wait,
I
oh
am
no,
not
I
ready
thought
to
Nandan
adopt.
said he wanted me as his mentor. I'm like,
Poggers.
I mean, if you guys want Nandan, you gotta sign up, and then we have to figure out all the assignments for everybody.
Oh my
Oh no 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 no!
Oh
no.
my god. I think I need to leave.
Oh, this was having Nandan.
This went down the
Mentor's a
wrong
mistake.
rabbit hole.
This is such a bad rabbit hole. Okay. But does anybody have a question? Any more questions about mentorships? No one's going to be put into a breakout room with Nandan right now. Bryce, don't encourage them. But you can make donations to our website if you'd like to.
Wait, what? We don't have a donation thing set up, but I can set that up immediately. You just need a link.
I think they need to now if you're gonna be the mentor, Nandan.
Tier 3 sub, yeah. Give me all your bits, give me all your subs, and then I'll make sure to pay the club back. Don't worry. I'll make sure to pay them back. Only Dan.
Oh, no, not that again.
Oh no, we're not going back again. We're not going back to that rabbit hole. Oh, only dance.
I'm a little
Oh, only dance. Oh my god.
Sweating a little bit.
Do we have any other questions though about the feature announcements?
Oh much. Let's tier 1 is like $60. Minimum donation 60 is it's high price.
I have some questions coming from people about like Unity and if like you missed the last workshop. So Bracky's the person that we just saw for the game design video, he is a really good person to watch just for learning about Unity, Unreal, programming. He's really good. And then we'll be also posting our last workshop and last general meetings video very soon. Oh yeah, Unity tutorials from the Actually Learn Unity is very, very good. If you're trying to make something very complex, I recommend actually learning from them as well.
There's a pantheon of Unity gods that I can recommend.
Yeah, so Nandan and Daniel, if you guys want to recommend some people, you can post that in resources.
Yes. Are you allowed to submit the form if you have no experience with game design / program?
Of course. Nobody is barred from turning in a game pitch. Anybody can turn in a game pitch.
This is how you learn, because you start with this, you throw out your ideas. Maybe it doesn't work, but that's fine, because this is like your first project ever. This might be your first semester with the club, whatever. And then maybe this time it didn't work, but next semester you're like, oh, okay, this is what went wrong. This is what went right. Okay, we'll improve. And then here's my next game pitch. Oh, wait, it's on Steam. It's making $1 million. It's bigger than Among Us. It's bigger than Fall Guys. Whoa.
That's what happened with Stardew Valley. So if you guys have heard of Stardew Valley, it is a literal one-man game.
Yep.
And this guy just came up with a single game idea. It started from a small idea when he was trying to find work and trying to make money. He just wanted to put it on his resume, and then it became such a game buster.
I'm not flexing, by the way. I haven't come close. I haven't even come close.
Oof. Fall Guys. Yikes. All right, and then if you guys want to follow us, make sure you follow us on Instagram. We do have Facebook. We don't update it as much as Instagram, but you can go ahead and look at all the old pictures there. You can see more of non-boomer Nandan. If you guys have any questions or suggestions, you can email us. We can now also check out our website. We got to check this out. Can everybody see the website?
Yeah.
So there's a carousel of things that you can do. Okay.
Heck yeah, look at this.
Wait, are none of the images loading? What?
Oh, I gotta refresh, huh?
Wait a minute. That's weird. Wait, left
You can
click.
even look at, Learn about us.
Which
Like, look at
browser did
Dan
you?
Dan
Oh my god.
with
That's
mustache.
old me. That's old me.
Boomer Nandan. You can
You're
learn
like,
about
I'm a
who are the
new man.
officers. We got absolute ultra
Wait,
instinct
what
Maddie
just
over
happened
there.
all of a sudden? Oh, you zoomed in.
You can learn about me. You can learn about Daniel. You can learn about the absolute memester Bryce. Who is still in chat right now? We got Maddie. And where's Maddie? And Maddie.
Let's go. She's basically Shaggy, but like OP-er.
Redacted.
OP-er.
Why, man?
Redacted, yeah, I can't.
No.
Oh yeah, her true name is redacted.
Don't know.
We can't tell you guys. It's a club secret. You have to join. You have to join the club in Illuminati to figure out what's her true name.
Well, maybe
So-
I don't even know.
All right. Anybody else have any questions though? Otherwise,
It's online, so
thank you guys so much for coming to today's meeting. If you have any questions, don't forget to talk to us in the lobby room, in our questions and concerns channel. You have a suggestion, please tell us right away about what we can do to improve. And I'm glad to have all of you guys here today. So make sure you get your game design pitches in before September 25th. Yeah, I can't think. No, I'm sorry, not 25th. September 22nd. September 22nd is when we're going to announce these game pitches, and we're going to see like who wants to join these clubs or clubs. Who wants to join
Groups.
these game projects. So make sure you get those in right away. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right. And
You're
have
coming.
a good day.